Welcome back. We're going to be continuing the hand modeling tutorial, and we'll eventually merge all these vertices together in the middle, but we're going to go ahead and duplicate this finger, and it has the same amount of edge loops that we need. So I'm just going to go Control D and then hit the W key and move it over. Okay, and I'm going to rotate it into place, and you can see that we need to make a lot of adjustments to this. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I make all these adjustments, I'm going to go ahead and in the perspective viewport, I'm just going to make these a little bit shorter, closer together. I'm going to look at my thumb. I'm going to select these vertices. I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm just going to go ahead and shorten it. Probably would be a lot easier to do this before I rotate. So let's go ahead and just move this down like this. I'm just trying to think ahead here. Might be the best way to do this. We want to make this a lot wider. So I want you to look at your thumb, put it in front of you, and let's go ahead and shape this. Go to vertex mode and shape this. Move this down because we got shorter area here, like that. And this is moved down closer. Okay, like that. Whoops. I want to make sure we get everything in here. Like that. And we're going to move this closer and this closer, like that. And let's just make it a little bit bigger than everything else. So let's go ahead and scale it up a little bit and shorten it a little bit, like that. So scale it up a little bit in all directions and scale it down a little bit. Scale it up a little bit and scale it, squash it a little bit. So let's kind of take a look at what we have so far for a thumb. Okay. Alright, so it's a little bit wide this way. So we're going to go into perspective mode and just kind of scale that down a little bit like that. So now we've got something that looks a little bit better than what we had before. Scale that down a little bit now, a little bit farther. There we go. Okay, so we got the idea, and so what I'm going to do is go to the top view and rotate it, okay, and move it. And what I'm looking for to do is, if you see this line right here, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to go back to hand and see. You can see that we've got to take this, okay, and kind of match that part up and then move that back. Okay, so I'm going to turn on shading X-ray, and you can see what we've got going on here. Okay, so we've got lots of vertices and stuff we need to move around, but we're getting close. The idea is just to kind of get it close. I'm going to rotate that. So before we rotate it and stuff, I'm going to get it back to where we had it before we rotated it, and I'm going to go ahead and move these vertices a little closer together. Just trying to get a better feel for the size of the thumb. I think it's important we get those moved back as far as we can so we do less work while it's rotated, because that gets a little bit harder to do. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate it again. There we go. And just get it placed in the general area of the thumb. Again, notice I'm not really moving it with the middle mouse. Okay. So I'm going to go back in here, turn X-ray off, and then turn this on. Okay, that looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and go. And I'm going to shade. There we go. So I can see what's behind it, what's going on there. Okay, so there we go. Now we need to rotate it in this direction, which can be confusing. Okay, so we're going to rotate it next direction. We're going to move it off to the side so we can kind of get the idea of the rotation value that we need to have. Again, this gets a little confusing because now we're going to be working in 3 dimensions here. Okay. Right, so a couple things we need to kind of finesse is we've got this nail does not look very big compared to the rest of the finger. So I'm going to go to perspective mode. Alright, and we're going to fatten that up a little bit. So let's go ahead and I'm going to select all of these vertices here and just kind of rotate around and make sure I don't have anything else selected. And let's go ahead and scale those out a little bit like that. There we go. Not a lot, just a little bit. And I'm just going to scale these guys right here out a little bit too as well. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so the rotation value is pretty good compared to the other one. I might want to rotate it back just a smidge. Like that, there we go. Okay, so you can see that aligns very well with the rest of the fingers. Okay, so with that selected, go in here and just kind of, we'll just leave it the way it is right now. And I'm going to move it back just a little bit. There we go. We're pretty close to what we want to have. We've just got to widen this out a little bit more to kind of follow these edges here. And so this part right in through here. So I'm going to go into my hand, make it visible, and then turn shading the X-ray off so we can get a better look at how this is all going to work. Okay, so I've got to move that over to the side to get some ideas. Okay, alright. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be, I think we're going to be able to get this done. So back into shading, X-ray kind of gives me an idea what's happening here. So on the top, that's the top piece. We'll bring this over, and then we'll bring these down. Kind of like that. These are the pieces that are behind. These are the pieces out in front. And this should be going over here. Okay. And so this bottom part here is kind of moved way over here to that side. We're going to move this section way over here to kind of match this. So you can see we get this nice smooth part right here with the thumb. I'm going to select these 2 guys over here and move that over. And these 2 guys right here. And so on and so forth until we get the shape of the thumb. Again, this is just a lot of tweaking, moving, but we got to select the 2 inner pieces right here for this to work. Okay, so you can see that nice smooth look. And this is kind of janked up here. This always is kind of an issue and a problem. So I'm going to kind of move these guys out a little bit here to kind of help finesse that. Move this one back a little bit. There we go. And this one back a little bit, gives a little bit more room. And this one back a little bit. Again, I'm just not, just kind of moving things around a little bit. Okay, so now we got to kind of look at it in perspective. Okay, This is important to make sure we keep everything in the right direction that it should be going. Okay. Alright. Okay, that looks good. We're in the same plane as the fingers. You can see that. If I look at that and look at the fingers from the side view. Okay. Alright, so we got it nice and flat, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so the next step we've got the thumb. If I click on it, hit the 3 key, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. You know, looks pretty good. We can always make adjustments. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So hit the 1 key again. The 3 key, it's kind of nice to see things go back and forth. Alright, the next step would be that I'm just going to move this back and away just a little bit, just so I can see what's happening on top here and what I need to do with extruding these fingers back. Right, now we're going to go ahead and select these fingers. We're at the point where we're going to select all the fingers. We're going to combine them together, and we're going to start selecting these vertices. And I'm going to click on one vertex, and I'm just going to hit the F key so I can rotate around it. Now these vertices are going to be put together. So I'm going to move this one back, move this one back as well. So kind of in between the two, select both of those. Okay, I'm going to go hold down the space bar, go to Edit Mesh, go to Merge to Center. Select these two, hit the G key, merge to center. Select these two, G key, merge to center. I'm going to continue doing this all around here to all of these pieces. I'm going to select these two, hit the F key to focus, move it out a little bit so we can rotate around. And I'm going to hit the G key. That just welds them together. G key. Now, if they're not welding together, you have to go back, select them, marquee select them, go to Edit Mesh, Edit Mesh, and move Merge to Center. We're going to do that for all of these here. Pretty easy to do. Once you get started, just marquee select them both, G key, okay, and then that's it. And the next step is to select the hand or the outside pieces of the hand. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and select the edge that goes all the way around. Okay, and we're going to start extruding it back until we meet the thumb. Okay, and that's basically what we're going to be doing. So once that's done, we're going to go ahead and go to shading, X-ray, turn that off, and we're going to move the hands forward. What I would suggest that we do is I want to be able to see the hands, so the fingers, we'll extrude that back, but I need to see what I'm doing. So you'll have a you're going to have the hand like this, meaning that the image of the hand that you'll put in here. And I'm going to move this forward a little bit. You can see that if I move it forward, I can see the next extrude, right? Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? So the next extrude. So I'm going to move that forward and move this back and kind of get an idea where I need these vertices. So I'm going to select these vertices here and move it like that. Okay. I'm going to select these vertices here and move that one back and this one back. You see that makes a big difference. Get everything ready for extrusion. Okay, and then I'm going to take these guys and move them into place. Okay, going to match this up the best I can. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to knock this out real quick. Select it, move it, select it, move it. I'm not really caring too much about much of anything else, just making sure that this is exactly over top. And I do that by pulling it back by marquee selecting. Notice I marquee select. I'm not doing this. Okay? I'm marquee selecting it and doing that. There we go. Marquee select. Marquee select. Okay? Even if I make a mistake with the finger, I'm making sure this is right on. There we go. So you can see that's perfectly aligned.